Hi, everybody. This is Natalie Brown from Soul Searcher, and today I'm joined by the amazing Simona Mango. She's in Spain and I'm in New Zealand. So, this is amazing that we can actually meet, online, and it doesn't matter where we are, and we can just talk to each other all over the world, isn't it, Simona?
It's amazing. Thank you so much, Natalie. I'm so happy to be here with you. This is
Beautiful.
wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. So, Simona, she helps women to free themselves from the traps and the chains that society, family, the schooling system, religion, tradition, and manipulative morals keep the morals that we keep using to stop them in their tracks and clip their wings. Simona guides you to see from the perspective of your soul as opposed to the perspective of your mind. And your soul sees everything with perfect clarity. This is what she says. And it will remind you of what your true life purpose is. She calls this process switching from the outlook of the caterpillar to the outlook of the butterfly. I love that, Simona. So tell us a little bit about you. How did you get to where you are today? Being a spiritual coach, being a life coach, what's your journey? Tell us a bit more about your story.
So my story was more the story of the caterpillar than of the butterfly.
Mm.
Searching, wondering, stressing out, fretting, asking questions I didn't get any answers, and doing some nice things, some really nice things, but always wondering, feeling that there should be something else, something more, and wondering what that could be, and not getting any answers. That's where when you're kind of stuck in the perspective of the caterpillar, they can crawl up the twigs, the branches, but they can't fly. And I thought that there must be a way. There must be a way to fly. Humans can fly. I thought, like, humans can fly, and they know how to do it. So my story was a story of always searching, always questioning, always asking, and often finding that without knowing how and why, but things should be different. And this is since I was a small kid. I thought, like, no, this can't be right. And the adults would swear that it was right, that that's how it is, and I was like, no, this can't be right. So my story is actually a quest.
Beautiful. I love that. And I believe that actually within that inquiry, we always find, the different threads of information that we need to find that then leads us on the path to our purpose. Because I believe we have many soul callings. We have lots of little different things that call us into the space of that divine mission, right? So when we enter that divine mission, it feels like flow. It feels like harmony. It is loving presence. It's just beautiful. So I feel like we have to be that caterpillar, right? We can't skip a stage
No.
of metamorphosis as such, of transformation. We have to go through the shadows. We have to see ourselves in the space of, looking at our struggles and going, well, how can I overcome this?
Absolutely.
And often when those struggles come in, that's when the ego mind really comes in. And the ego kind of takes over and says, you can't do this. You can't climb up that little stalk and get to the top. And so what were some of your challenges reaching, getting to where you are today?
Quite a few. I think the biggest challenge was uh, being born into a family that kind of banished every and anything feminine. Imagine that all feminine energy was seen as not good. It was and even my mother, I mean, she was a woman, but she was a bit of a macho woman, you know. And so everything feminine was dismissed as second rate, not relevant, silly, that kind of stuff. And I felt this to be very, very wrong. I felt that this could not be true.
Yeah.
could not be right. And so that was my biggest challenge, living, you know, surviving actually this kind of imprinting, this kind of conditioning, where
Mm.
uh, it would have been much better if I were a boy, you know. And
Yeah.
then, but yeah, but I'm not a boy, and am I not good because of that? And when you're a kid, of course, you don't filter anything. You get these open and subliminal messages very, very clearly, and
Mm.
ah, takes quite a. It took for me quite a lot of time to get over all that, and really, you know, be okay with what I was and with what I wanted to be. I didn't want to become a boy, you know.
No, you are a woman, and thank you for sharing that, Simona. That's a really vulnerable share. And I feel often what happens in our households and, society with relationships, our parents, schooling, you know, they project their stuff onto us, right?
Mm.
And their disappointments and everything. And that structured box that we have been kept in as women for such a long time is being broken. It's literally crumbling. And so the feminine is rising, the feminine is coming out of that cocoon, and we are saying, here we are. But because we've gone through that really male dominated, masculine, structured way of growing up and being, we fully understand it. We see where our wounds are. We see where all of those things are, and we can actually rise out of it. And that makes us stronger,
I
which
agree.
is, I presume, is exactly what you did, Simona.
Yes,
Yes.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Mm,
Know where you're coming from. Keep the good stuff, and you know, kind of get over the parts that don't serve you, that you don't like, that you don't agree with, that don't, yeah, that
mm.
don't resonate at all.
Yeah. So
So,
how did you rise into your feminine? And I just want to say to the listeners out there, if you want to ask us any questions, we are live. So feel free to type your question in the comments, and I will have a look at them when they pop up, and feel free to, bring your questions to this conversation. Sorry, Simona, carry on.
um, it took being, I think, so disappointed with my father that I decided that
Mm,
his opinion was not going to influence me or stop me or do anything with me ever again.
mm,
And this kind of took all took everyone and everything with him. Whoever would not understand was kind of not, how shall I say, not worthy of stopping me.
mm,
This kind of stuff. It was more of an intuitive thing. I don't think it was really a big rational, kind of conclusion I got to. It boiled down to that after a few years, after some time. It took some time. It took years, but
mm,
then I decided that no, you are so wrong, that I'm not interested in your opinion anymore. And whoever
mm,
shared that kind of thing, I'm sorry, I'm not interested in your opinion either. And
mm.
I'm going to go my way, whatever you think might work for you, does not work for me. I'm going my way without you. And that was it. And that was one moment when I thought, I'm okay.
Yeah.
But that was late. That was, God, must have been 16, 17. I don't know. That came, there was a struggle of many years.
Mm.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful. And it sounds like your soul guided you, because today our topic is living from soul, right?
Yeah.
And to release the perceptions of the ego mind of our struggles. Yes, we still have to see us, all of our shadows and the struggles. And like I said, your father was the catalyst to you awakening into your soul
Yes.
light
Yes, he
and to
was.
awaken into your feminine,
Yes.
right? And
Yes, he
so,
was.
and ultimately, and I always feel this, we have to thank those people and say, thank you for the lessons and for everything that you have given me of
Mm.
what I don't want to be, of what I don't want in my life,
Yeah.
of who I am not. Yes. And then then you can rise authentically in your own light and your own divine feminine energy. And you can step into this process of then teaching from that space. Yes, which is what
Yes.
you're doing now. You are teaching
Yes. Yeah.
women from that space of
Yes.
societal suppressions, the way that things are supposed to be. So tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah. So it's a matter for me of making peace with all of that. Like, for example, I managed to thank my father for all of that.
Mm.
I did a little bit of that while he was still alive, but just as far as I could go with him. But then I finished doing that and really thanking him for everything afterwards, and that really worked.
Mm.
And so it's a matter of understanding, man or woman, as a human being, what you are, what your position, your role is in this universe. And this is true also for men. This is true, I think, for people in general, not only for women. We tend to underestimate our role, our creative potential. We tend to underestimate our mission here. The reasons why, or the reasons why we are here. We tend to think, like, you're born because some cell stuff happened. Ask the biology teacher. No, not really. So the main part of my work is to help people understand, women in particular, understand how big they are, how great they are. And from that position of understanding that, no, you're not only you're okay, but you are much bigger and much more beautiful and more important than you thought you were, and that you were ever able to even think or accept. That puts you in a position where you kind of worth it, and where you're worthy of pursuing anything, your desires, your things, because you understand that actually maybe maybe I was meant to.
Mm.
This is what really makes my heart sing, when women get to that realization, and they say, you know what, I'm gonna change my route now. I'm really going to go for it. And this, as nothing makes me more happy when I see human beings like bloom.
Mm. And it is that metamorphosis, it is that beautiful butterfly. But we can see the beauty in the butterfly, but can they? And I think this is where we're now stepping into the empowerment stage of women. Yes, we're still going through the transformational stage. Every single being on this planet has to go through that transformation, right?
Yeah.
But we are in the evolution stage as well, and in the empowerment stage, where we are now looking at ourselves with love, and we're knowing that we are love. We're looking at ourselves from a space where we go, well, we're no longer this. We're no longer our fear. We're no longer our shame. We're no longer blaming other people for our problems. We are standing up
That's
as
right.
sovereign beings, as
That's
women,
right.
and we're rising beyond all our belief systems. And those belief systems are, I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm not meant to be here doing what I'm doing without diplomas and certificates and all of that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the soul does not need certificates and diplomas.
No, it
The
doesn't.
soul just teaches, it just, you are that divine channel for source.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I mean, with my caterpillar and butterfly uh, example. Say, as long as you are in the fears, you are in the mind. And I see the mind as a caterpillar. And when you step into your soul, you have this perspective that's so different. The soul, the soul can fly, and it sees things from above. It's a completely different, really, perspective, point of view. So as when you're in the mind, you're still stuck in what's around you, and what's around you is big and you are small, and what's around you is scary and you are scared. And when you're soaring over everything and you're seeing it from above, you look down in and you go like, oh okay, yeah, that makes sense. Oh, I see. And you see the geometry from above that you can't see when you're in it. You're in a labyrinth, and when you're flying above it, you see that it's a pretty geometry, and you understand how to navigate it. And that for me is the butterfly perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely beautiful. And
Mm.
I love that because I always say, look at things from a bird's eye view. But actually, what just came through for me and was spirit was showing me was when we are getting out of we have to be in the now moment. Okay, don't get me wrong. But sometimes when the chaos is there and it's too crazy and life's too crazy, we have to rise above it. We have to rise out of our human body. And how do we do that? Through meditation. We do that through yoga, through walking in nature, whatever it is, right? So get ourselves out of our mind into a state of higher consciousness.
Yeah.
And so we're rising into connection with our higher self. It's not like our higher self is something that is removed from us. It is there for us. Our soul is there constantly steering us in the right direction, right?
Yes.
So,
And
carry on.
no, go for it. Go. Sorry. Mhm.
And so when we're connecting with our higher self, our higher soul self, and we're in that stillness, that space of stillness, all of a sudden we let go of all of that chaos around us and we can tune into that divine feminine energy, that stream of light that is always moving through us.
Absolutely. And when you say being in the present, that's what the soul does. Being in
Mm.
your soul is actually being in the present. The soul is
Yes.
really in the present. It's perfectly rooted in what you're doing now. It's the mind who flees the present and is always busy in the past or in the future or God knows where. So
Yeah.
yeah, the more you're in the soul, the more you are in the present.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
They loved our comment, rise above the crazy. Love that. So,
Yeah.
how do we as human beings, how do we as women, feminine, divine, gorgeous women, how do we navigate this crazy, right? How do we navigate the crazy of the mind? How do we navigate the crazy of the world, especially right now when we're in that stage of, moving into this evolutionary space, this space of empowering ourselves
Mm.
more, and not continuing to push ourselves down and thinking that everything is wrong with ourselves. How do we actually, what kind of tools can you share with us that will help, that maybe you use as well as a woman, to help us rise out of this crazy that we have going on in our heads and around us?
I love the crazy. So the crazy is something that we don't really resonate with, is it? It's
Mm,
something that we don't really want in our lives. It's something that uh, you know makes us miserable actually, and it gives us bad thoughts and bad emotions, and we feel them in the body, and that's what actually pulls us down. That's what lowers our energy, and then we are stuck somewhere lower and we can't get out of it. So it's a matter of deciding that we don't do crazy anymore. It's not for us. We don't like it. And it's a matter of recognizing it, because sometimes it sneaks into things that we think are normal, but they're actually crazy. They're part of the crazy, and they're not. We should not be accepting them. So when we
mm,
recognize what they are, and just decide that no, this is not good for me. This is not in my highest good. Isn't in anyone's highest good. This is part of that crazy stuff that comes from where? From fear. It comes from fear. All the crazy stuff only comes from fear. The soul does not do crazy, and the soul does not do fear. It's the
yeah.
mind that does all of that. So I have my meter system to always know at any moment if I am in the mind or in the soul, or say closer to the mind or closer to the soul. It's how I feel. So do I feel like fantastic? Do I feel happy? Do I feel like great? This is wonderful. Whatever this is wonderful. Then I'm closer to the soul. If
Mm,
I'm feeling anything less than wonderful, I'm closer to the mind, because the soul only does wonderful. And who does all the other shades of horror is the mind. So if I'm feeling depressed or, miserable or heavy or anything, angry or sad or whatever, I know I'm in the mind. So this is a very clear meter at any moment. Who's running the show. Is it the mind or is it the soul? And the secret is to always get out of the zone of the mind when you catch yourself being in there, dwelling in there.
Yeah,
and it can be
absolutely.
situations dragging you down, people dragging you down, the crazy, whatever the crazy is, can be things, people, places. It can be your job, it can be relationships, it can be anything. If we have the awareness and the to really have a look and say, oh, wait a minute, I'm there. No, I should be on the other side. Wait. And get ourselves out. And how do we do that? We just reach for the next best thought, next best feeling, next best anything. I say just move your gaze. You're looking at something that you don't like. Move your gaze along until you find something you like better. And that will already put you in a completely different position. That will raise your energy to a point where you're already able to make completely different choices and to feel in a completely different way. You don't have to let things and people drag you where you don't want to go. They can do that physically, but you can always move your mind somewhere else. You have the choice.
Yeah, beautiful.
As to how you react to what's happening outside of you and outside of your power. You have no power over other people or whatever, but how you react to them.
I love that. You have no power over other people. You only have power over your own choices.
Yes.
And when you make your own choices, that ripples that power or that choice to others. And it's interesting. I just want to come back to what you just shared. There's always a need that we want to fulfill. There's a need, and that need causes, or we can cause drama. Some people love the drama. They feed on the drama of the ego, the drama of what that gives them is like it fulfills that need for them. They feel more loved because they have drama in their life, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people, a lot of women, men as well, they can't function without the drama, because it's constantly filling their cup. So they're filling their cup from the ego mind and not from the soul. And this is where it's very important to go, and I love what you say, go into that inner feeling space to find out, is this actually doing anything for me? Is this fulfilling me? Or is it just putting a bandage over for the moment? And I'm actually not dealing with what's underneath. I'm not healing the wounds. I'm not going into that space where I'm actually listening to what my soul is guiding me to. But I'm continuously going and listening to the ego and creating more drama. And that's just creating a perpetuating cycle where there's more wounds, more experiences that's going to come your way, that's going to help you bring you into a higher consciousness or into a state of learning. So ultimately, what is the need here? I feel that we need to ask ourselves, am I fulfilling that need for myself? Or am I actually wanting someone else to do that for me?
That's
Can
right.
I take care of it myself?
That's right. And who wants the drama, again, is your ego mind. So people who dwell in the drama and look for it and keep, putting themselves in those situations, it's because they are settling for a lot less than they could have. So if they are looking for this kind of satisfaction, they're only satisfying a little part of their ego. They will never be truly satisfied.
Yeah.
This is not so that kind of thing that makes you feel like important or makes you feel heard or makes you feel in that way, this is not even feeding, it's just pacifying the ego for a little bit, and the ego wants more and more and more, and you are more and more and more caught in all of that. And then if you get in the space of the soul and you understand that you don't need love from outside because you are love, and then If some other love comes your way, wonderful. You are ready to accept it. You are ready to return it, because it's just love for the sake of love. It's not that you are attaching yourself to someone or to something, hoping to get something out of it because you're desperate. Not at all. That's why I say they're settling, because that's not the real thing. And you said
Yeah.
bandage earlier, and that's exactly it. That's exactly bandage for holes that you don't want to see.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And the interesting thing as well is that when we bandage everything up, we're actually stopping ourselves from being seen. We're energetic, right? We have a frequency, so we're bandaging up everything, and that actually stops our frequency. So,
Yeah.
unbandaging, de-armoring,
Yes.
kind of, releasing all the thoughts, the thought processes that's unhelpful. Is this serving me? I think the question is this serving me? Is this helping me? Is this making me feel good? If the answer is no or maybe, then, do something else that will change that perspective. Like you said, minute by minute changes is all that's necessary. Often
That's
people
right.
ask me, where do we start? I'm like, just think differently. Just start
Exactly.
by saying, if you're saying to yourself constantly, I can't do this, I'm not enough, change that sentence around saying, I will try my best. It's okay where I am right now. I am enough. Yes.
And
Yeah.
I will
So,
do better.
mm,
But you know that I think that the problem with all this kind of bandaging thing is that we feel we have these wounds and things have hurt us and all of that, which has, of course, happened. But when you come into the space of the soul, you are able to look back at these things in from the right perspective, put them back into perspective, and see that actually no one and nothing can hurt you. You are not. It's a big word, but you are not vulnerable. You are as vulnerable as you accept to be. As much, as you give your power away and you put yourself at people's and situations' mercy,
yeah.
anything can happen. But you don't have to do that. You cannot wound a soul. You can only wound an ego and a body, of course. But you cannot wound a soul.
Yeah.
So the wounds, of course, they're there. It's important that we acknowledge them, that we see them, that we heal them. But we do not need to be wounded again and again. We don't.
So how do we, that perpetuating cycle of wounding, how do people step out of that? First, of course, it's a thought process, but what kind of tools can we give them today, or what kind of tools can you give them today, where if they are in that space of feeling down, of feeling like they're not good enough, they can't see this power, this love within them, what can you do or help them understand to move into that space where they go, actually, I can do something about this? They can change their thoughts. We already talked about they can change their thoughts. They can choose something different. But is there anything else that you can give them that will help them to step into more empowerment?
Yes, there is one process that I like a lot, and that is to take people into the subconscious mind
Mm-hmm.
and see what's there, and it's and change, mend things there, change them there in an inner journey, in a visualization, in a situation that they will not make up, that will just present itself to them, where they can see and where they can act and interact the way they want. They can choose. I can guide them, and they can choose what they want to do, and they choose how to react, and I can give them a task, and they can do it. And when you start repairing things in that space. We all know that the subconscious mind is much stronger, much more powerful than our rational conscious mind when it comes to how we behave, what we do, how we react to things. So if we start going down there and cleaning out limiting beliefs from the subconscious mind and rewriting stories, rewriting patterns, rewriting situations, changing them, there, it's incredible how the change shows up in the conscious mind, in the day-to-day life, in the behaviors, in the reactions to things. It's amazing. It's usually not easy to go there on your own, but if you get guided there, and it's a very interesting place to explore. It's amazing. Well, you know all about it. So you know how much can be done there, and you know how much the work you do down there, what the huge effects it will have on up here.
Yeah. So just talking into that as well, what Simona is talking about, the unconscious mind, if we do not know something, we can't do something about it. It's very important that we bring it into awareness. Now,
That's right.
that awareness first happens in your body messenger. That awareness of your body telling you that there's something wrong, okay, or there's something, I don't like talking about wrong and right, actually, that there's something going on that needs to be brought up into awareness. So when you bring it into awareness, you can do something about it. You can make a different choice. You can move your body. You can do whatever you want to be able to get that out, right? But if it's in that unconscious, subconscious mind, it's there dormant, waiting to be seen, to be heard, to be understood, to be transformed and transmuted and alchemized into light so that you can use it for, to move forward, to empower you, to teach from that space, to, raise your frequency. But unless you actually want to go there, and this is the pain point here for people, is they feel afraid to go there. They feel afraid to be able to go into the unconscious, subconscious mind. And rightly, as Simona says, it's better to get you to guide or get someone to guide you through that process, which is, you're going into the Akashic records, basically. And you're entering the Akashic records, you're entering past life information, you're entering your cell memory, and all of that information that is then you can clearly see it for what it is.
Yeah, and also you're accessing just the storage, just also very simple memories from this life that you're not aware of, things that you have forgotten or that are not clear for you, or stuff that you picked up before you were able to speak. And so you would really not be aware of them. And they are stored there. And you can go there, and obviously you cannot remove a problem that you can't see. About being afraid of going there, you don't need to be afraid, because your soul will never let you see anything that you cannot handle. So it will only take you as far as you can handle in that moment. It can, because obviously your soul is you, and it's the part of you that really has your best interest at heart, not the ego mind. The ego mind has its own interest at heart. The ego mind is mortal. It's scared. The ego mind is just scared. It knows it won't be around for a long time, and it's scared to death of all of that, and it's in a hurry, and it wants to have its way. It wants things done. It wants, like, oh, come on, let's get this done. The soul has no, is in no hurry at all. The soul is eternal. If we don't do it now, we'll do it later. So the soul is really, really gentle on you. The ego mind is not. The ego mind is really tough on you, isn't it? It's like really can be very aggressive. It can be very negative. The soul is so gentle. The soul really has your best interest at heart. So if you go to the subconscious mind, where you can actually find an easier access to your soul, what you will see is going to be positive. Maybe you'll see things that are not nice, but you will see them in a way that you can handle. It's never going to be too much, because your soul wants you to clear them, wants you to see them, wants you to understand, to overcome them. And then another time you'll see more, and it will always be in a way that you can handle.
Mm.
It's talking to yourself. You don't have to be afraid of yourself. Never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the soul, you don't have to be impatient with yourself. The ego is impatient,
Oof.
like you said, Simona, but the soul is infinite, and there is no rushing anything.
That's right.
And it's that softer voice that speaks to you. It's that gentler voice that comes through your gut feeling, your intuition,
Yeah.
all of that. When you get that message of yes or no, you have to listen to that. Okay, it's always that gentle guidance, where the urgency of the ego is driven by the pain body, is driven by the karmic causal body, the cell memory that we have sitting within that as well. So, it's always, and we can go into all of that energetic stuff at another time, but it's always, we have to remember that we are energy in motion. Even in this physical form, we're energy in motion. So any stuckness, any sense of stuckness, with the ego will always push that stuck button. It will like, you stuck, and it's about letting the soul flow through you, letting the soul come in to move that energy, to move through you, to unstuck you.
That's right.
If that's even a word.
That's right.
Yeah. And so it's key to be able to connect with your soul regularly, to be able
Yes.
to do your practices, go
Yeah.
out and be in nature, because you don't have to necessarily have like a solid, I'm going to do an hour's meditation today to connect with my soul. That's not necessary. You can be driving in your car, listening to music. You can be walking on the beach. You can be sitting on your bed, and just closing your eyes for a couple of seconds. It can be easy. It doesn't have to be hard, does it?
Absolutely not. And you touched on a very important point, and that is the cell memory. So that's where the soul resides as well. The soul, the way the soul is connected to our body is through our DNA. And our DNA is in every single one of our cells. Our soul is inside, it resides inside every single one of our cells. So in the cell you have both forces, and that's why also when you get in touch with your soul and when you do that kind of work, your body can heal in amazing ways, because obviously when the soul gets a chance to do something, the effects are incredible. The soul knows how to heal you. The ego mind doesn't. The ego mind only knows how to maybe not hurt you, but usually it does hurt you, because anything hurtful we do to ourselves comes from the ego mind, certainly not from the soul. Certainly not from the soul. Yeah.
And the thing is, with the DNA, just coming back to that as well, your DNA holds the blueprint of your soul. So if you activate the codes, or you activate your DNA, you upgrade your DNA, you work with the soul, then your DNA automatically gets upgraded, and that activates the key codes of your divinity, your soul blueprint.
Absolutely.
And so therefore you can then access higher streams of consciousness. You can access your soul gifts. You can access your higher purpose. Yeah. And all of a sudden, things become clearer for you. You're moving from the soul. You're not moving from the ego so much anymore. And that's why we constantly, as heart leaders, we're saying, raise your frequency, raise your vibration, do what you love doing, be with the people that love you and that you love. Because when you're in that state of bliss and happiness and joy, this is the joy key code. So I work with key codes, but the joy key code activates that beautiful sense of soul, having your soul move through you, laughter and joy and bliss, and that sense of peace that comes with it, that when you're working with the soul.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's beautiful, isn't it? And I think, ultimately, we are all moving in. So right now what's happening for humanity is we are, and especially since November, there's been this sense of humanity going through a very deep, dark death cycle and stepping into this more enlightened human beings that lives from soul, that accesses these higher streams of consciousness, that's able to discern frequencies, that's able to discern and tap deeper into their truth, right? So
It's
what is
accelerating.
true for
It is
you?
accelerating. Yeah, it's going faster and
Absolutely.
faster. Yeah.
Yes. So since 2012, we've had an acceleration of light entering our physical bodies to upgrade our DNA, to upgrade our consciousness. And what I was saying, we cannot do something about it if it's not in consciousness. And then we bring it into the now moment, right, Simona?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Absolutely.
from that right now moment, that's when we can then choose what we want to do with it. But it's always being steered by the soul. And the ego comes in to still remind us of what we can do and what we can't do and all our failures and all of those things. But the main thing is when you're a woman and when you're a man, and you can maybe speak into the Simona as well, and this is what's coming through spirit right now, you have to rise in your energy, your power energy. So if you're a woman, rise in your divine feminine energy. If you're a man, rise in your divine masculine energy, because when you do that, you are seeing yourself for who you are truly at that higher soul level. Then there comes a state of balancing where you bring the masculine up, yes, and you bring unification into your energy. And then the other side is the masculine then brings the feminine up. There's this unification of energy. And that's
Absolutely.
called oneness. That's what we're
And
going
you are talking
towards.
about divine masculine energy and divine feminine
Yes,
energy. What we see
absolutely.
in the world at the moment is total imbalance. But what we see now is not a lot of divine masculine energy. We see wounded masculine energy. And that is a problem, because divine masculine energy is very creative, is very positive. What we see now is destructive, and this is wounded energy. This is disconnected from the soul. This is ego driven masculine energy.
Yes.
When the two energies, actually human beings have like more one kind of energy, but say we have a masculine and a feminine, and they are, anyway, they're huge archetypes. Obviously we are permeated in them, yes, but it's the divine ones, that's what we want.
Yes.
And the wounded ones are the ones we have to be aware of and be aware of. Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about, truly seeing your wounds, working through them, looking at your shadow and going, okay, I no longer want to be that. I no longer will accept this. Like you said, the word, acceptance is a very big step into consciousness, accepting where you're at, accepting who you are, and that you can change it. Before you accept yourself the way that you are and you lovingly hold space for yourself to transform and to transmute and bring into consciousness and awareness everything that's needed to be brought into that consciousness.
Yes.
There's no moving forward from that, right?
That's right. And the soul does not say hold grudges or regret things. Soul is not angry. The soul is not judgmental. None of that. So when you can look back and say, okay, yeah, that's what happened. That's how it was. Okay. It does not have to be like that anymore. That's what it was. And from the position I'm in now, things will be different. And also, the shame about what happened, and this is the ego. This is not the soul. Your soul is not ashamed of anything. Your soul is doing its journey, doing its eternal life, and not judging anything. We are judging everything we do, but that's always the ego mind, and that's what creates all the wounds, and then they get stored in the subconscious mind, and then they govern our behaviors, our reactions, our things without us knowing. But that's what the problem is. It's only there. So what you said, go in there shed a light, see what's there. You know, you have to see the cobwebs if you want to clean them out.
Yes.
Poor spiders.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
When you become the observer, don't you? When you're
yes,
working from soul, you're becoming the observer, and there's no
yes,
attachment. There's
exactly.
detachment from everything. You become that looking at things from a bird's eye view,
Yeah,
and it becomes easier to navigate life because there's no drama. There's no attachment to anything. There's no pleasing people and trying to be things for other people. And I think this is the main thing for humanity to understand, is that this is what sovereignty means. Coming into a space of divine love for yourself, fierce love for yourself, and this state of observing yourself and being able to see as you're going through your cycles and motions, without any attachment, without any drama, without having to make something of it, without thinking that you're wrong or that something, or your life is over. But ultimately, it comes down to you, the choice that you make, and the actions that you take to step into that divine sovereignty. Because
yeah,
divine sovereignty is the embodiment of divine masculine, feminine energy. It's being conscious, it's having this flow, this freedom to be you in all parts of you.
but there you touched on the biggest problem that people are faced with, especially women. So they say, okay, what do you mean? You know, I don't have to be there for people, help them, please them. So what about my family? What about my spouse, my children? You know, you say do things for yourself. This is hard to understand. It may sound a bit harsh, but it's not, because when you really do what's in your highest good, really in your highest good, not like okay, I'm going to do this now and be absolutely uh, uh, crazy or none of that. But if you are doing what's really in your highest good, it will be in their highest good as well. Because it's not compatible that something is in your highest good and it's not in the highest good of your beloved ones. It's not compatible. It's not possible. So it takes some guts. It's a leap that can be scary. But making a certain decision, doing something that might feel like, oh my God, what they're gonna say, what they're gonna feel, how they're gonna, are they gonna be disappointed? Are they gonna feel let down? Are they going? Maybe that's the ego mind, but in the long term, it's gonna be good for them, and they will thank you later. But this is very hard to accept and very hard to then, put into practice, because
Yeah.
it's scary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially in the civilization, there's cultural influences,
yeah,
there's all sorts of different influences. And I'm watching this really beautiful series at the moment, and it is all about a very kind of rigid cultural influence on this man's life, and he pulled away from that in Italy. And he went and just followed his dreams. He became a chef instead of working on the farm, working on the land where the parents wanted him to be, and marrying a nice woman that's from the same culture. And he wanted to be different. And he always had the soul calling to do what made him happy and give him joy. And that's ultimately the thing. And so because of that, he was literally cut off from the family. His father didn't come to his wedding. His father kept his mother away from the wedding. And you can see the patterns, the pain, the wounds that's being played out. But when we choose for ourselves, when we choose us and we go, this is me unapologetically, this is who I am, we actually stop that pattern from happening and from moving into future generations, right?
that's
When we're
right.
living from the soul, when we love ourselves, when we're blissing in through our own joy, and when we're doing the things that we want to do, ultimately, we're stopping that old, antiquated, really rigid, masculine, energy that has created I'm not just saying it's not just masculine, there's some feminine play as well with mothers and
Sure.
everything, but it comes from the wounded feminine and the wounded masculine. It
Mm-hmm.
comes from the antiquated patterns, the way that things were perceived to be. And when we as beings can rise above it and say, now I choose me, we're actually breaking that pattern. We're
Yeah.
stopping it for future generations so that
Yeah.
we can evolve as human beings, that we don't sit in the dark ages continuously and actually go, well, I'm not moving forward. Otherwise, humanity we won't invent, we won't inspire, we won't be able to create, we
That's
won't be
right.
able to live lives of joy.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
And that's what people are confronted with. So the example you brought, like, look what he's done to his family. Look what, no, he hasn't done anything bad to his family. He's done
Yeah.
something great for himself. And if the family, if they're not able to take a step and come out of their narrow, wounded, terrible, sick mentality, which is ego mind 100%, soul is so disconnected, I mean, they don't even know what it is. You cannot help everyone.
Yeah.
But this character is definitely helping the, as you say, the future generations. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was
Absolutely.
interesting was the father said, you're bringing shame on the family and we don't want you anywhere near there. So what happens is our parents project, we as parents, I'm a parent as well, right? We as parents project our rubbish onto our children.
Mm.
And this is what's so important, that we right now as human beings go, okay, how can we move forward? We looking at what the mistakes were, or the learning lessons, let's call them learning lessons, not the mistakes, the learning lessons, the growth, how can we move forward from that now to truly help our children and future generations rise into their divine feminine and divine masculine energy, truly see who they are, so that we can create this energy, this unification of energy. Because what's happening for humanity at the moment, it's broken.
Mm-hmm.
It is broken in a sense because the person feels broken. Yes, the person feels wounded. So if we can encourage our children, if we can encourage the people that we are in communion with, yes, through our own vibration, through our own frequency, through the way that we show up, the way that we are in our truth and in love, yes, that's the only way we can do it. We can actually then raise the frequency. We can stop that pattern. We can heal that ancestral wounds that is now, been there for many, many generations. And as I'm sitting here, I'm actually feeling energetically where these wounds are sitting for people. Heart, and I'm feeling sacral chakra. And sacral chakra is all about creativity. We are creators, we're creative beings, and it's stopping us from creating. It's stopping us from truly, deeply loving ourselves and loving each other and loving our planet, because of these really deep ancestral wounds that's playing out.
I love that you talk about our planet. I love that, because
Mm.
this is one of the things that's closest to my heart. And I know for sure, I know that when a human being is connected to their soul, they're automatically connected to our planet. They're automatically connected to nature. And this is one thing that I'm really pouring a lot of work and love and energy into. I'm creating a community around that, around
Beautiful.
connecting with nature, but from within, connecting with ourselves first, and then having this beautiful connection with nature as a byproduct, because it cannot be otherwise, because we are part of nature. And this has many implications. This also means that since nature is infinitely abundant, so are we. And when we understand that we are at one with nature, that will also make a way with another set of fears. That is the fear of scarcity, for example, and all of that. The fear of being broken and poverty and not enough and all of that. And wow, I love that you talk about the planet. You couldn't
Yeah.
go closer to my heart.
Well, my work is all about the planet. So very much it's, just like you, the work is with human beings, but it ripples out. Our bodies are the earth. We are the earth. So we are not disconnected from that. And when we realize that our bodies are the earth, that we are temples of light that anchor in divine source energy here for the planet and vice versa, we're working in that way. So ultimately, it's so beautiful that you're doing this work to bring people back into that divine connection, and that's definitely my work as well. I wouldn't have it any other way, because nature is healing. Nature heals us, and it helps us remember who we are as souls, because nature does not ask anything of us. Yes, a soul doesn't ask anything of us. It just simply wants us to be there and be in communion, connection, receiving, allowing things to just fall away from, our shoulders. We carry so much on our shoulders every day, don't we? As women and men, we like, let's take on the world, and we have to be this and we have to be that. And we've placed all these restrictions on ourselves. But what if we just could come back to love? What if just for a moment we can come back to that space of divine love and just go, this feels good for me. I'm okay here. Yeah.
Coming back to love means coming back to soul, means coming back to nature. It's all the same.
Absolutely.
Will you come and speak on my platform?
Yes, of course. I'm happy to, Simona. It's been such a lovely conversation. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience today, or with the listeners before we go today?
I think we've said it all. I found a soul sister in you. I'm so happy. Your audience is so lucky to have you. Keep doing what you do. This is fantastic. Thank you so much.
My darling. Thank you, Simona. It's been such a pleasure
having
having you on. If you want to find out more about Simona and what she does, the link is below this video, or it'll also be on the podcast. Please check out her work, and thank you so much for listening, everybody. It's been amazing. Much love. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.